The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
And belly on up to the 9-foot homemade oak bar. Pour yourself a cold one. My name is Chris. Her name is Hannah. This is the EP Podcast, brought to you proudly by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, located in that iconic building at 95th and Pulaski. Look, when interest rates are up, that means you make more money on your money when you have it in a bank. It's a real thing. 3.25% is what they're giving in interest. Statement savings special, an 11-month CDs at 4%, 23 months at 4.25. Plus, you get a $300 bonus when you open up that checking account over at the First National Bank of Evergreen Park with qualifying activities. Switch to the bank you can rely on, one that is part of your community, the bank that I bank with personally, and with the Broadcast Basement On-Demand Radio Network. Visit bankevergreenpark.com or stop in and see them today at 95th and Pulaski. I had a moment the other day.
Oh, tell me.
No, I did, and it's not something that I'm super proud of, but I think I'm justified for having the moment.
Okay.
I had an argument in front of my house.
In front of your house?
An angry argument in front of my house.
Okay.
You tell me if I'm wrong.
All right.
I'm not going to get too far into it, but you tell me. Okay, and I'm going to try to be a little vague because in the end, it's not my neighbor's fault. It's a guest at his house.
Okay.
Right? So a guest at my neighbor's house pulled into my driveway because his driveway was too full.
Okay.
Not for a moment, no. Parked his car, opened up several doors, opened up a trunk, and was loading or unloading when I pulled up to my single car driveway and was unable to pull onto my own property because this person was on my property blocking me.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I want you to picture that and think of how absurd that is.
Well, yeah.
You could park on the street if the guy you're visiting has all of his parking spaces filled in his driveway, but no. I'm going to pull into the driveway next to it because I'm important and I like to pull up to a sidewalk instead of getting out at a curb. Mm-hmm. Think of the absurdity of that right there. That's nuts,
and just
right?
rude.
Just rude and wrong.
Yeah.
I park on the other side of my street. I get out of the car. I'm sure I got a face on me, but I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to tell him. So I look at the guy. I'm like, hey, man, this ain't his driveway. This is my driveway. I can't even get into my house because you're parked here. Can you move your car? Now, the immediate response, especially for somebody who isn't even someone who lives here, should have been, sorry, right? First thing you should have, sorry.
Yeah.
Next thing should have been moving my car. It should not be throw your arms out and say, what's the big deal? Why you mad?
Oh, no.
Because then I became mad.
Oh, no.
Now, I will say this.
So is it younger person, older person?
Younger than me, but old enough to be a grown man.
Okay.
Right? I mean, probably late 20s and the early 30s.
Okay.
And may even be older. But I mean, like, this was a grown man.
Okay.
This isn't like a child. This is somebody who should know better. And says this to me. So now at this point, like, that's when you light Chris's fuse. Like, there's very few things that will make me really angry. I mean, you have to remember, I worked at a 911 center, so I'm very calm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I get excited about like certain things, and the kids laugh because dad gets loud, but he's always mostly loud in a happy way, right? Or in like just kind of like a funny, like would be like a comedian's rant type of way. That's kind of how I operate. But if you do something like that's clearly wrong, and then you act as though it's not, like somehow I'm the crazy person that you're on my property blocking access to my own home. And then you act as though somehow you're not the bad guy. Mm-hmm. That's what gets me.
Yeah.
Right?
Sets you off,
I think, is that called gaslighting? Is that what the terminology is? Whatever it is, like acting like somehow I'm the crazy person when you're the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
So now, luckily, it's cold. There's no children around because I got a mouth on me when I'm angry. I do. Honest to goodness, folks. I can't help it. I do. I always did. I'm a Southsider. I think 10 years in a police department dealing with bad guys and hearing all the horrible language made me worse. But I don't want to even use an excuse for it. I know I do. Okay.
Yeah.
And so now it becomes a get your off my property. I mean, just get out. Like I'm angry at this point. And the response then becomes, I'm not afraid of you. That's what he said to me. Like, now that I take as a threat. That I take as
that is a threat.
You're ready to have a fight with me.
Yeah.
Right? And now I'm responding, I don't even know who you are, but I'm not afraid of you either. Get off my property. And then I was like, okay, look, I'm an adult. I'm just going to, as I'm talking, walk up to my door. And as I'm walking up to my door, still talking, keeping an eye on him, because when you throw your arms out, I figure you might be ready to have a physical confrontation.
Yeah.
And I don't know who this guy is. He's literally in my driveway. I'm like, I'm just calling the cops. Well, now the car is being moved, but the car is being moved with an awful lot of jibber jabbering.
Yes.
And I'm still amazed. I think after it's over, when all is said and done, right? I'm still amazed at the idea that anybody would have the thought process that it's completely normal to pull into a guy's driveway.
Somebody else's driveway.
Block his access and then be appalled when the guy says, will you move your car off my property? Like, I'm watching.
Why are you mad, Chris? Why are you mad?
I'm watching 1923 right now. I know Yellowstone is a big show, right?
Yeah.
And I'm watching 1923, which is like their little mini series about it. But even refer back to Yellowstone or any of these old Western movies or anything like that. Like, you couldn't do that 100 years ago. There was a different set of rules, right? Mm-hmm. Like, according to the television show I'm watching, 1923, like if a guy takes his cows or his sheep onto another guy's ranch, you just take that guy's cows from him, right? Like, I should just be able to take his car.
Yeah.
He pulled it on my property, and I'm like, you know what? I'm keeping your car now. Sheriff should be like, you pulled it on his property, his car now. Like, I miss those days, Hannah.
That's what we need to bring back.
Like, we need to bring back rancher rules. Like, I know, like, I don't want it to be like shootout in the Old West, because there's already places in Chicago that are like that. I'm not advocating for that, but a little bit of rancher rules, a little bit of like Dodge City, right? You pulled onto my property with your stagecoach. It's my stagecoach now. You got 5 minutes to get your vittles off of there, but I'm keeping it and the ox that's pulling it because you're the jerk that clearly pulled onto my homestead, right? Like, I miss that kind of stuff.
That's what we need.
Do you think that when I bring a trustee in here, we can reenact a law like that in Evergreen Park? You pull onto my homestead, I get to keep whatever it is. I needed another car.
Yeah.
Like, I should have been able to claim it.
There you go. You could have had a second car.
I should be able to walk up and be like, claim.
Yeah, claim mine.
Sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, back again. This guy's churning out books left and right. He's an Evergreen Park author. His name is Z. Jeffries. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's great to be here again. But I do have to say, technically, Z. Jeffries isn't here right now. Z. Jeffries doesn't have a book out right now. But Zachary Jeffries does.
Oh, you used the full name?
Yes.
When you're writing, what, more adult stuff?
It's YA fantasy, and it's nothing.
So that's youth, like teenage into like that kind of thing. Like you should be like 14, something like that.
Yeah, at least. But you know, everyone, all kinds of adults are reading YA, and it's not exclusive to teens or anything. And there's nothing like salacious in these books. These books aren't steamy or full of terrible language or anything like that. It's just, this is not going to be in the interest of, say, an 8th grader who likes the books that I write set in space isn't necessarily going to be into a romance between a Greek fate and a Grim Reaper like this new book.
Okay, so first off, how did you had the space series that you've come on and you've talked about before?
Yes.
Give me the name of that again real quick.
Pro Wrestling Saves Earth. That's the one about the kid from Evergreen Park sucked into space.
That's for the younger kids. How's that doing?
That's doing fantastic. I would like to write the sequel for that, and I'm planning to. I have it all mapped out in my head, but there's so much stuff going on in pro wrestling right now that I can't even keep up. I don't know if you follow this, but Vince McMahon left the company.
Yeah.
He's back.
Right.
The people that were in charge are gone. They might be selling it. And a big part of that book is the little guy from Evergreen Park taking on the big corporation and the guy behind it. So until I know who the guy behind it is, I'm going to have a tough time writing this sequel.
Oh, so like it might change if the real life changes around it.
Absolutely. I was ready to write it about the big bad alien overlord's family taking over this intergalactic wrestling promotion, for lack of a better term. But now he's back. I got to figure out. I gotta pivot and move.
Yeah, it could be a Saudi prince. You never know what they're going to sell to.
Literally, it literally could be. I'm crossing my fingers that The Rock swoops in with some investors and The Rock takes over.
That's awesome. All right, so and then I'm noticing you're putting out a lot of books. Like, I was surprised you were like, I have a new book. I mean, George R.R. Martin takes like 12 years in between his Game of Thrones books or his Song of Ice and Fire books. And this is yet another one that you're sitting down here at the bar to tell me about. Like, how quickly are you writing these things?
I pretty much write 2 books a year. Every single year I have a list of my goals, professional and craft-wise and stuff like that. And every year I say, this is the year I'm going to write 3 books. It takes me about 2 months to 2 to 3 months to write.
Like, are you writing, like you're inspired on this book, but then the next day you wake up and you've got something for the next book, or do you get one done, go to the next one?
I'll draft one and then go to the next one. But while I'm drafting a book and writing down that first draft, I will be tinkering with the last book. I'll go back through and be reading that and taking it apart, reading it aloud, that kind of stuff. So I'll edit or revise at the same time that I'm writing the next one.
Zachary Jeffries, or Z, depending on the books that he's writing, sitting down here with me talking on the EP podcast. Quick reminder, if you've been injured at work, you need a team that will do what it takes to fight for your rights. The insurance companies only care about one thing, the bottom line. So the law offices of Parente and Norum has the experience, dedication, and proven results it takes to get you the care and compensation you deserve. They've recovered over $425 million for their injured clients and loved ones. For a free case evaluation, EP podcast listeners, call or text them today at 312-641-5926 or visit pninjurylaw.com. All right, so the one that you're doing now, that's for the older kids, the teens, the young adults, 40-year-old women.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's be honest. I mean, what was that? What was that one with the werewolves and the vampires and the Twilight, right? And it was like meant for like teenagers, and every 40-year-old woman had a copy of it.
Every single person did. Now, so this is along the same lines.
Hannah will have your books. That's what you're telling me.
Yes.
She's going to be like, I'm getting this book.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that genre, that subgenre is called paranormal romance, with like paranormal beings. And I have to admit, I've read quite a few, not necessarily Twilight, but there are some other ones that I've read and I've really liked, because some of them have Arthurian legends mixed in and all of these other folklore, and that's what I'm really into, folklore and mythology. And I didn't want to write one with vampires or werewolves or shifters or fae or some of the other ones that are in these paranormal romances. But like I said, I love mythology, and I love kicking things up a notch as far as like the stakes go and things like that. So I came up with what I think is one of the strongest male leads that I could have in one of these romance, and that's a Grim Reaper.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with podcaster with supernatural abilities.
I know. Just, is there a more powerful being? Yeah, so I started there with the idea of a young man about to take over the family business, being trained to be a Grim Reaper. Maybe he's not that great at it.
Right. Kills the wrong person every once in a while.
He needs some assistance. It's not necessarily that dark.
Wants the person to die, accidentally just breaks their legs, something like that. Okay, all right.
Along those lines. So he's desperately trying to stop his training. You know, he's being stuck. He's stuck in high school. He has to live as a human while he's learning the family business. And if he doesn't move on to be a full-fledged Grim Reaper, then he's going to be stuck being a human for the rest of his life. And he can't stand humans. He really looks down on them. They're just a part of the job, and he couldn't imagine anything worse. But the problem is, this assignment that he absolutely has to ace, has these ties that's tying this soul to the earth. Meanwhile, I was thinking, who can be a match for death? Who is strong enough, big enough, powerful enough to be a match romantically for death? And I went back to mythology, and the keepers of death in Greek mythology are the Greek fates, the women who spin the thread of someone's life and measure it and snip it. And so then I thought, a young lady who gains the power inherits these scissors. And she has these powers, but doesn't know how to use them, doesn't understand them. It's that story of someone coming into their powers and everything. So this Grim Reaper is going to use this young woman who's realizing she's a Greek fate and use her powers, use her scissors to elevate himself and harvest this soul. And so naturally, of course, I went to the plot of the movie She's All That.
This is, see, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this. At first, I'm worried you're giving away too much. But now I'm intrigued that a Freddie Prinze Jr. vehicle is now going to be like where you started to get some of your ideas from. Which, of course,
absolutely.
One of the dumbest movies of that era. All you do is take her glasses off and she's smoking hot.
That's
it.
ridiculous.
That's all they did in that
Absolutely
movie. She's
ridiculous.
all that. Like, she was already pretty. And all they did was like, oh, we'll take your glass. Oh, my goodness, you're gorgeous.
Can you believe it? Slow motion down the stairs.
Kiss me. That was the song. Yeah. All right, I'm a nerd.
Yeah, so that movie has the two guys, I bet you couldn't make anyone the prom queen kind of thing. And it becomes a bet. And so he lies to her to use her. I'm not doing that exactly, but I had this plot idea.
Don't give away the ending. I'm worried.
Oh, no,
You're giving me
don't
so
worry
much
about
here.
it.
Okay.
So there's this plot of he's using her, and I was having a tough time cracking this, and in the later revisions, I was like, what's this love story? Because I have this story about him trying to harvest a stole and having to use her shears and everything, and then it hit me. She's all that. He's using her. She doesn't realize it. They fall for each other. She's
going to figure that out. Right.
She's going to take her glasses off.
Right.
Become a completely different person.
She's going to figure out, and then she's going to stab the Grim Reaper right in the chest with her scissors, her magical scissors.
So you read it. You already read. But I mean, this is going to be a great book for anyone that enjoys those paranormal romance, anyone that loves the throwback of She's All That. But also just the kind of books that I write. It's action-packed. It's plot-driven. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of mythology, a lot of twists and turns. It's super easy to read. I'm not writing. I'm not fooling myself. I'm not writing Game of Thrones. I'm not writing 3 pages about the food at the feast and the wine from a different part of the country with dragons. And I'm not doing that. There is not a huge, rich tapestry that you have to take notes on.
Pick it up, read the story, enjoy the story.
Oh yeah,
right.
It's a beach read. It's an easy read. Dare I say, for Valentine's Day, it's a fantastic couples read because it's a little dark, it's a little messed up. There's some good humor, but also there is a love story in there.
Couples read, huh? You sit down and you both read the book at the same time.
Whatever.
I have a hard time figuring out what television show I want to watch with her. You want me to sit down with a book?
You don't even have to do it at the same time. You can do it at different times, and you can say, wasn't that really cool when he went to kill that guy? And she's like, no, it was really cool.
Or she goes, I didn't get to that
powers.
page yet. And then you have a big fight. I don't think you've thought this out. How do people get the book?
It is available anywhere that your fine books are sold.
What's it named? I didn't even think.
Angel of Fate.
Angel of Fate.
Angel of Fate. You can get it online. You can order it from Barnes & Noble or Amazon or anything like that. But I always prefer people shop local, help the mom and pop shops. Go over to Bookies. If it's before Valentine's Day, you can order it through them and they'll get it for you. If it's after Valentine's Day, just go in and ask for it. And hopefully we'll even have some signed copies on the shelves there.
So your release is right here on Valentine's Day. Coming up here, right
Absolutely,
here.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. He's got a romantic book about a Grim Reaper and one of the Greek fates that has scissors, and She's All That, and he's going to take the glasses off her, and magic is going to ensue. I wrapped it up, right?
That's it.
See
Perfect.
That's it. That's what I do. Maybe the podcaster should be one of your heroes in a future book. That's all I'm saying. Look at my skills here, Z. Z. Jeffries, or underneath this book, Zachary Jeffries.
Thank you very much.
That's who you're looking for. Check out the book and name again.
Angel of Fate.
Angel of Fate, Evergreen Park author, and we're always lucky when he stops in here and chats about what he's doing. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's fantastic being here.
Recently on the EP podcast, we got a sneak peek of Spoken Vine over at 95th and Kedzie. Reed and Bridget over there also own Cool Clouds Vapor Shop, and they love it whenever we check in with Hannah and her Southside dating life. So this segment brought to you by Cool Clouds. Quitting smoking is hard, and they want to find you an alternative with a great taster bar and CBD products, and the new location over on the northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. See all they have to offer at coolcloudsvapor.com. I heard you went ice skating.
I did. Went ice skating for the first time. It was a date.
You had never gone skating before?
I've never been ice skating. Never.
Really?
I've been here for 15 years. I've never been ice skating.
Wow.
It was my first time.
Dominic, my son, would be appalled by the fact. The hockey player would be like, you've never been on ice?
Never been on ice.
Wow.
Other than, walking down the sidewalk. Never been on ice.
Oh, man.
So,
he's going to be very disappointed in his Aunt Hannah, that's for sure.
And I hated it. It's so hard.
Well, it's not the easiest thing. No, you're standing on blades.
Yeah, on ice.
I was just explaining this to my kid the other day. I saw some kind of like TikTok video with Neil Grassy. I can't remember what his name. Neil Tyson deGrasse.
Yeah.
With this TikTok video with Neil Tyson deGrasse, who is like a very big name physicist,
yeah.
right? And he was explaining that you don't actually cut into the ice when you're ice skating.
You don't?
The pressure of your body and the blade on the ice turns the very top molecules of ice back into water, and you're actually water skiing on top of it.
Really?
That's why if it's too cold outside, where it's like sub like zero temperatures, -20, you can't actually ice skate on a pond.
Really?
Because the pressure is not enough.
I never knew that.
To be able to do that.
I never knew that.
I thought that was a crazy thing.
So I was like kind of somewhat water skiing.
Yeah, people tell me that he's a genius, so I'm going to believe him on this one. But I was like amazed by that breakdown that he had of the whole thing.
That's pretty cool.
But you went ice skating on a date. Now, I always thought this was a good date thing because I used to take girls in high school to Oak Lawn Ice Rink.
Okay.
I had been on a couple of dates. I had been on a couple of them where I was just hoping it was a date, right? Like you tell the girl, like, let's go ice skate. Because the thing is, girls, you fall a lot. Not all of you. Abby Murphy ain't falling on the ice, right? But like most people don't ice skate. And I had done a little bit of hockey. And if you take somebody out there who's not very good at it, now they're clinging to you.
Yes.
Instant date success right there. She already needs you to hold her up, right?
Yes.
I mean, like I'm sorry, but as a teenage boy, taking him to the ice rink was a move. So this was a well thought out move, I believe.
It was. And I was gripping onto his hand the whole time. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You get the physical closeness right off the bat. You depend on him. Right.
So it was, it was hard. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be. Just even standing. And then
you looked at that and you were like, I'm just going to jump out there and do that.
Because I'm watching all these little kids do it.
Well, yeah, because they're little kids. They have no fear.
These 10-year-olds do it. They're out there and the parents are out there skating and gliding around. So I was like, oh, this must be easy.
No.
I get out there and I just froze. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm scared to move.
What you don't see with a lot of kids that learn how to skate is that some of them, they start very young. There's a lot of hockey on the South Side. I didn't realize it until my kid got into it, but there's a lot of hockey on the South Side. A lot of people do it. They start these kids really young and they're basically using like kid walkers. They look like what old people have, but they slide on the ice.
Yep, they have
and they
those.
just hold on to it and they learn how to skate because they can just hang on to the thing until they get used to moving on it. You've never skated before. You are a clumsy adult at this point.
Yes.
You have fear of maybe breaking something if you fall on the ice where children do not. That's where it becomes frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But will I ever do it again? Probably not. I marked it off the bucket list. I'm like, fine, I finally went ice skating. I didn't like it.
Good date, bad date.
It was a good date.
Good
he was
date?
a nice guy. He was a nice guy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I told him, I didn't like going on boring dates, so he planned for us to go ice skating.
Went with ice skating.
Yeah.
I like it.
So it was good.
You think I'm right about why he picked ice skating? It's a move,
probably.
isn't it?
It's a move.
isn't
It's a
it?
move. I held onto his hand the whole time.
It's an absolute
I mean, I had
move.
a death grip on his hand.
Oh,
the
I
whole
would have
time.
gone for the hold the one hand and put the other hand on the waist on the other side to help glide you.
Oh, see,
he didn't
go
do
that
enough of the
far.
move. You see, he's inexperienced with that
See?
move. You can do a lot more to just hold hands in the
Yeah.
ice rink, and it's acceptable because you're just trying to keep them steady, right?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Let me make sure you don't fall down. I sound like such a pervert right now. I'm going to stop. Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. Sitting down here with me, Amy Kazin from Evergreen Park High School, back-to-back EP High School guest this week and last week when I talked to your brand new principal that's coming in over the summer, who I know is roving the halls. First off, how are you, Amy?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. You you run all the fine arts stuff. Is that safe to say? Is that the best way to describe you to people? You got the theater, you got the madrigals, you got the unaccompanied minors, a lot of different things over there that are not just like, reading, writing, arithmetic.
Correct. I'm the activities director too, so I pretty much oversee anything extracurricular that's not athletic.
Are you excited about the new guy coming in?
Yes, very much so. I was fortunate enough to be able to sit on the first round interview committee. So I had the pleasure of meeting him and listening to a little bit about what he was about, and I'm very excited. That's
cool. So there was like a committee that had actual teachers there when you're doing the interview process for the principal.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's how it should be. You got a lot coming up this month. Percy Jackson, is that the first thing they want to talk about?
Yes,
what do we got?
The Lightning Thief. Yeah, we have lots of family fun in February coming up. First is our winter musical is Percy Jackson's The Lightning Thief musical. It's a retelling of the Percy Jackson books on stage, rock concert kind of vibe. Lots of lighting, rock and roll music tells the story. Sword fights and all of the characters that everybody remembers from the Rick Riordan books. I know they're on the reading list for the junior high. We actually have Central coming over to watch morning performance, but fun for the whole family for sure. That's February 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Do you like performances in which the original source material or the movie, let's say, or something like that already had songs in it? Or do you enjoy the things like Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief? That there's no singing in that from what I could tell in the original source material. So this is like everything is like brand new, and you can kind of do everything's going to be new to the audience. What do you prefer? Like the stuff that's new to the audience?
If it's something that folks have seen already, I use The Wizard of Oz as a classic example.
Perfect, that's right.
Of that,
yeah.
Right? It's really hard to put Judy Garland up there, and that's where the industry standard is if you're going to do The Wizard of Oz. So in that respect, it's difficult for the performers because they have to feel like they're living up to somebody else's portrayal of that role and somebody else's standard. That's hard. It's hard to do. I like being able to create something from scratch. I like being able to do things that folks have never seen, just to be able to expand people's horizons. I know that I've heard a lot of folks say that the Lightning Thief movie was not their favorite. I can't voice an opinion because I've never seen it. But everybody that's seen the movie tells me that the show is much, much better.
Very exciting. How many kids you got in this one? I mean,
30.
Yeah?
30 on stage, and then another 10 or 12 that have been involved in the crew.
All right. So then you got some other events coming up. STEAM challenge of sorts?
Yep. Family STEAM Night is an annual event that's on the 22nd of February in the evening, geared toward early to intermediate elementary school kids. Lots of different activities: science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Well, that's what the STEAM is, right?
I'm glad you said it because I was like, I don't know if everybody remembers what that is.
Yep, that's what that is. So
the younger generation knows because it's something that's been used now for years in schools. But like an old person like me, I'm like, what?
Well, you'll hear STEM a lot, but in our district, we do emphasize the A in STEAM, that the arts help to nurture that creative thinking that then helps with problem solving on the science and technology end. So they really do work hand in hand. You got to work both sides of the brain. And that's what something like this does. And it's designed, again, for maybe that K-5 kind of range, with our different clubs running different stations for the kids to participate in. Absolutely free. Online, there will be a pre-registration just so that we can make sure we have enough supplies for everybody.
Go to the school website, sign up online for it. What day is it again?
On the 22nd of February. That's a Wednesday. And then the next day for our middle schoolers, we have middle school game night, which will allow them to check out chess, Scholastic Bowl, and our brand new esports lab.
Esports lab. This is like the new thing now. A lot of high schools are doing esports, where they're basically saying, hey, video game player, come do this and compete for my school. I wish this would have been around when I was young, right?
Don't we all?
Like this, I would have been like, all right, we could do this. This is fun. How competitive is that? I would imagine you got a lot of kids that want to be in that every year. So
we have a game club that meets socially in the fall, and they get an average of 40 kids that come to any meeting. The esports team, the way that IHSA has structured it, has a limited number of participants per game. So I know in a lot of the much larger high schools, they actually have to have in-house tournaments to see who qualifies to actually
It's like
compete.
any other sport. You want to be a starter. You gotta earn that spot, huh?
Correct.
And Evergreen Park is hosting is it the state championships for esports?
We've been granted the opportunity to host the state finals.
When is that?
For
Is that this
esports.
month?
No, that's at the end of April.
End of April, but that's coming as well.
Very
so
excited.
You got all the best e-gamers coming to the EP. You must have like great facilities for that as well to be able to do that, right?
We do. We're set up with a bunch of big screen TVs up in the LRC. We just redid the LRC a couple of years ago. And the different labs have some large TVs that for academic reasons we can use to share presentations and things, but here they're great to be able to broadcast what's happening on the Switch. And then we just invested in a gaming computer lab where there's 30 gaming PCs in one of the labs up there to be able to run some of the games that are included in the competitive circuit.
Wow. High school sports have changed completely.
Yeah, well, expanded. Football and basketball and all
Still
those
there.
things are still there and super
Right.
important and really successful. We're really happy with how everything's going in winter sports as well.
But I think that's cool because everybody always talks about look at those new baseball diamonds. Look at the new athletic facility where they took over that near Sexton Park. Look at the the football stadium. Look at all the things that they're doing, and then look they got esports. Like their facilities are so good. They're hosting the state championships. That's pretty cool.
We're very proud of that. There's a couple of schools that have come in to tour to see what we've done so that they can try and follow suit.
Amy Kazin checking in with us this week from Evergreen Park Community High School. She's brought to you proudly by sidsauce.net. It's the only place I get my hot sauces. They have a flavor for any type of food. The peppers grown in Evergreen Park, bottled here, and delivered to your door for free. Check out everything they have to offer at sidsauce.net. All right, so what about the singers? Are the unaccompanied minors coming back this year? Are they gathering to do their thing?
Sure, yeah, we'd love to bring them by in the spring. They started rehearsing in January.
It's basically the Madrigal kids, but I would imagine like you get some new ones that come in, some kids don't do it or something like that, but it's an a cappella group, right?
Right, we add about a half a dozen.
That's awesome.
They'll be back in May, and a lot of them are going to jump on board for our summer show as well. We actually just announced our
That's
summer
what I was going to
camp
ask you about. You have a summer show. What's it going to be?
Yep, our summer show is Finding Nemo Jr., so we're putting Finding Nemo on stage. The original stage production was created for Walt Disney World Resort. It ran in Animal Kingdom, and they've taken that production and made it accessible for younger performers.
Amy, you're always so busy over there. When that comes out, I would imagine there'll be like some more stuff that'll be out, like on dates and stuff. You don't have that yet for that. You just know what you're going to be doing.
Sure. So the camp will run in June. Registration's actually going to open up later on today because it's definitely
What are the ages again for that one?
Entering 4th grade through graduated senior.
Okay. And so that's going to be a large array of kids. I would think that's a lot of fun. On one hand, it's a nice thing to have those kids get used to high school, especially those that are going to be getting there in a couple of years. But just the idea that the younger actors get to go and hang out with like the older actors and kind of see how they do things. That must be a fun camp every year.
That's why we don't separate it out. I know that there are other kids camps in the area that say 4th through 6th graders are going to do this and 7th and 8th graders are going to do this and our high school kids are going to do this, and they do 3 different shows, or maybe they do the same production but they cast it 3 different times.
Right.
We keep everybody together because of that mentoring that happens, and the high school kids enjoy it as much as the littles do. They
That's
really do.
awesome.
They love hanging out with the younger kids. That's
really cool. All right, so if you wanna learn about anything that's going on, especially Percy Jackson, Lightning Thief, go to the website. Register for the Steam thing for families. We got e-gaming championships on the way here. We got the summer camp, all that stuff on the Evergreen Park High School website, right?
It doesn't matter which platform, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that's going to be the most up-to-date information. And anytime we have registration links or anything, they get posted there as well. And because for a lot of folks, that's right there in their hand. They don't necessarily even have to go to the website. I'm
not exactly sure if he's doing it, but I would assume that's Tim Moran over there doing that since he got in. And he really is active on the social media. I've noticed that. He interacts with the EP podcast account every once in a while when we've done things together and things. I'm sure he'll post this show because you were on there.
Yes.
So yes, definitely follow those social media accounts because he gets a ton of information out about the school and the different programs that they have going on. But Amy Kazin comes over here and tells us as well. So that works out. I really appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks for the time.
Look at all those people in this great suburb driving down 95th and Kedzie. What a great place. It's called Evergreen Park. but we know it better as the EP. We're known for more than just the Unabomber. Remember Ted Kaczynski? You guys might even remember that big old rooster on 95th Street. It's all part of EP's history. So listen up to the EP podcast. You might be asking why. Because we talk about all things and we celebrate all the great things in the 60805. It's the EP podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP podcast. Evergreen Park.